So Saint Riot just came out with a new video about invasions, and particularly catered towards people who have not invaded before, new players in Elden Ring who are not as experienced in Souls and maybe haven't tried invasions. I'm not going to cover any ground that he hasn't covered in that video. You should watch it. I'll see if I can link it below if you're interested in this kind of thing. But I think the more type of content catered towards new Elden Ring players, the better. I think there's kind of a stigma toward invasions. Either that or some people maybe want to try it or are a little bit nervous to try it, don't think they have the build for it. Saint Riot talks about that a little bit, or maybe just don't really know where to start. So I think I'm going to make a couple part series about that and what to do, how not to get salty, and just some basic things you can do to get ready to jump into that or just kind of maybe start you off. So hope you enjoy, and let's get into it. So what are some of the useful physics besides the ones that just heal and give you infinite FP back? Well, I'm going to show you one example here on the right in a second called the Opaline Hard Tier. Now, the Opaline Hard Tier temporarily boosts all damage negations in your Physick. So why is that useful? So for example, if you have that, let's say you're struggling against a couple of hosts and their phantoms. They're doing a lot of damage to you. You're taking a lot of damage. You think you're getting down in your flash a little bit. You might be losing this invasion. If you combine that with, say, the lightning hard tier or another type of damage hard tier that simultaneously is boosting your defenses along with boosting your attack power, you can surprise people by running in and they think that they're going to be able to take you down really quick with the damage they're doing, but now all of a sudden they're doing less damage and you're doing way more. So you can get into a situation very easily where you can surprise them with the damage you're doing and kill them really quickly while staying alive yourself. Now, is it foolproof? No. I mean, if you have 3 people hitting you with great swords or ultra great swords, you're still going to take a shit ton of damage. But that being said, if it's 1 or 2 people, or even if it is all 3 of them, if you have enough health and they're not paying attention to what's going on, you could use that and easily win the invasion and surprise them. And all it took was one wondrous physic used at the right time to surprise them, and then you've won the invasion. Another example is the infinite FP one, the Cerulean. I think it's the Cerulean hard tier. Now, if you're a caster or if you just utilize, magic in any way, anything that can really do a lot of damage, you're just casting it, you're running low on FP, it will give you infinite FP for a certain amount of time. And you can cast whatever spells you want to, chains, true combo spells, or just really powerful ones, and use that to, effectively either take down one phantom, thereby reorganizing the fight in your favor, or even kill the host. And that is pretty valuable as well. So maybe if you have the wondrous physic and you've just been using 1 or 2 the entire time for PvE, maybe take a look at it, see what kind of combinations you can find out of it, or maybe see one that will work for your build. You should take a look and just experiment a little bit and see what might work. Okay, so right here we have an invasion with 3 people. The phantom there is using a colossal weapon. There is another phantom that's using a katana and engaging me up close, and the host is in the back casting spells. Very, very normal setup for party-led invasions and gang squads. Now, this is a gang squad, but it's a very normal setup when you come against people in invasions. So the name of the game here is going to try to be to lure 1 or 2 of them away from the party, to whittle them down and maybe see if you can peel one off and kill them. So that 3v1 has now become a 2v1, and that drastically changes things. So obviously the melee katana guy is the most bold of the bunch, so I'm going to be trying to lure him out of the way to kill him. But I'm taking and could be taking a lot of damage. So another physic tier you can use right here, that's a good idea to consider, is the Crimson Bubble tier. Now, right here, you're seeing a video from Dark Souls 3 of Tears of Denial. If you remember Dark Souls 3, Tears of Denial would give you a second chance if you died, or if you took enough health or damage to die. The bubble would pop, and you wouldn't die. You would just be alive with like 1 health or something like that. Elden Ring has a better version of that in the Crimson Bubble tier. The Crimson Bubble tier, when you get to a certain percentage of health, or maybe it's death, I can't really remember. I swear I use it. Gives you back a certain amount of HP, up to like 1/3, I think. And that is incredibly useful. Not only are you surviving what would be death in a situation that you got stuck in, or maybe you didn't play well, but now you have a good bit of health back to either survive another hit or so, or back off and be able to heal a little bit more, or maybe do enough damage if the host or phantom is weak enough to kill them instead. So that can be another really good option to consider as well. So now I'm going to cast some lightning. It didn't quite reach there, but I'm going to try to see if I can do some damage, figure out how much HP people have. And look right there, the host he took half his health with one lightning bolt, which did 300 damage. So he has like 600 health total. So he is extremely squishy. So I know if I can get through the phantoms to the host, I can kill him real quick. And that is what exactly happens right here. I didn't have to feel too pressured to get to him, because I just took advantage of a situation where they couldn't get at me. And because he was so squishy, I could kill him very, very, very fast. So if you have a chance to get some idea about what HP your opponents have, it's a really, really good info to know. Another detail that's very important is your environment around you. Whether you're in a legacy dungeon or in the open world, it pays to really pay attention while you're fighting to what type of area you're in, what's around you, what type of PvE enemies are there to assist you, and are there any ledges nearby? Is there anything you use to knock people off? Are you in a place where you can poison them? Can you be poisoned in like a swamp or something like that? It's a lot of these situations can be beneficial if you use them in the right way. So as you see here, we're in Stormvale Castle. We're in the beginning area. This is obviously a very high level party for this area. What's useful about this area and this map is you're getting chased down by a whole, squad. It's kind of a choke point. There's a lot of fire barrels here. They can take a lot of damage. They're getting hit by this PvE that's throwing stuff at them. And that combination with me being able to hit them as they come upstairs or just do damage to them and then run away can create pretty strong choke points where you can do a lot of damage or just maybe potentially kill one of them. It also creates several avenues for escape if you need to get out, like you see here. If you have a little bit of knowledge of the level that you're in, enough to kind of get in and get out to places maybe the host and phantoms wouldn't think about, it can be really, really helpful for not only getting away in situations but also coming back at the right time to surprise them. So I'm kind of trying to find my way back in here. I have been kicked out by the host and the phantom. They were doing enough damage to me that I had to retreat a little bit, get out of the way. I'm just trying to make my way back, and I do. And one thing I notice is they have entered the cutscene there where they went to the room and got locked into the room. So as you see here, I'm popping my Wondrous Physick, and it gives me an increase to my lightning damage, which my sword is lightning infused, and I have the Opaline hard tier that increases my damage resistance. So what's going to happen when they come out that door? They can't necessarily see that I'm outside of there, but I know they're going to come out of there. And I'm going to be doing a ton of damage, taking less damage, and I have an opportunity to get rid of the host. Surprise them enough to do it. They didn't realize what's happening, and I won the invasion because I played the level better, and I used my Physick at the right time. So, it works. Consider it. If you can, use it, and think about the level. I want you to look with me and see what the other host has right now. He has very high poise armor. He has Novellilu's axe. He's got a spear. He's playing by himself, and yet there's invasions going on. So he has got the Taunter's Tongue popped, so he's at least somewhat familiar with PvP. He's got a decently strong setup. He pulls out a great shield. I'm doing a lot of damage to him, but now he's doing a great shield poke game where I'm not able to do enough damage to him to beat him before he pokes me to death. So what can I do? I can try to go through the shield, or if I have the right Ash of War and I think about it, I can go over it and kill him. This whole system of invasions is all about seeing what the other players have and using something you have to overcome it. Sometimes, no matter what you do, you're going to come into worlds where you play a very, very good game, or maybe you don't play a very good game, and you die. You're going to die a lot in invasions, and you might as well accept the fact now that you're going to feel, at least in the beginning, very discouraged, especially if it happens multiple times in a row. Elden Ring has been out long enough now, invasions have been a thing for long enough now, not only in this game, but also to people who haven't played in other Souls games before now. They've gotten used, the hosts and phantoms have gotten used to invaders coming in, even if they're new to Souls and this is their first game. It's not their first rodeo. They've dealt with it. So they've developed tricks working together to kill you, you know, as they should, because it's part of the game. But, you know, one thing I see that people probably aren't really prepared for when they're coming into invasions is the amount of salt you'll have to deal with after you're defeated. And coming to terms with the fact that even though you're fighting 2 or 3 people and they're using really strong stuff against you, chasing you down constantly the entire time, even if you play better than them, there's a 90% chance they're going to teabag you. And you will know that they will feel perfectly justified in doing that. Maybe you've done it yourself in the past, and I'll forgive you for that because you're trying to learn about invasions now. There's nothing wrong with being a host and killing an invader. There's nothing inherently wrong with teabagging. Back in my day, we pointed down, but that's besides the point. You're going to, if you want to get any fun out of doing invasions in this game, you're going to die, you're going to get teabagged, you're not going to feel like it's a deserved death. You're definitely going to feel like the teabag's not deserved, but it's going to happen. You have to pick yourself up, you have to keep playing, keep trying, keep getting better until you get a little more consistent with things, and I promise you it's worth it. It is so much fun when, you know, you do these invasions the right way, when you get a couple wins, even if you get losses, but you have good invasions and good fights. It's well worth it, it's worth the salt, it's worth the teabagging. Get used to it and have fun. I feel like this is also a good time to give a PSA or maybe just news to people who didn't know this. There is a certain period of time when you spawn in as an invader in Elden Ring where you are invulnerable to attack. It's probably, I don't know exactly how long, 3 to 5 seconds, where you come into a world and you cannot be damaged. Now that is not a hack, that is not a glitch, that's not latency. It's a system in Elden Ring where you just cannot get immediately nuked spawning into a world. That's if you're a phantom, if you're an invader, whatever the case, it's there for a reason. So how can you use this to your advantage? Hosts and phantoms who don't know this are going to be swinging at you constantly, thinking they can do a ton of damage to them. So if you pop that wondrous Physick to do a bunch of damage, you know, against them real quickly, you take advantage of the situation and maybe kill 1 or 2 of them or get rid of the host. And if you're a host or a phantom, it pays to know that you just cannot immediately kill the invader when they come in, so that they can't use that against you. So, just good to know. If you will forgive me for a moment and show you a duel instead of an invasion, I felt that this was actually also kind of a useful tip and fight to see, because we're going to showcase here how to deal with someone who is either spamming a parry shield or just obviously knows how to parry, and will probably try to one-shot you with that. So the name of the game in this situation is to be unpredictable. To not always just run in with your weapons, use the same type of attack, constantly using R1, constantly using R2, constantly using your Ash of War. Switch it up, use an R2, use an R1, use your Ash of War, constantly change up what you're doing. Maybe, you know, cast a spell or something instead to throw them off. And instead of hearing that lovely little icon where you've been parried in one shot with a dagger, maybe you'll hear instead the sweet sound of Duel is Vanquished. We're going to include one more duel in here. I'm not going to talk over it. This player was using Quick Step and was pretty good. I'm just going to show you what I did to fight him. Alright, let's talk about builds, and meta builds, and fun builds, and invasions. So what you're seeing here is my level 120 old auto hunter. He's kind of a fun character I made. He is a Bloodborne homage, since it's been, you know, the month of Bloodborne here in October. He utilizes Flaming Strike on Great Maces, Catch Flame, Flame Grant Me Strength, Giant's Flame Fire Pots, with the Companion Jar talisman you get from the Jar Baron quest. And the interesting thing about this build is not the weapons I use, although they are not the strongest, but they're kind of fun. But really the Companion Jar talisman that adds additional damage to fire pots that you throw at people and hit people with. So I do like 350, 400 damage per fire pot, and more probably if they're not in water, which is kind of fun. It's not the most strong build you've ever seen in your entire life, but it's an interesting build, and it's not something people expect, and it's kind of fun and fits the theme of a hunter for Bloodborne, like an auto hunter specifically, or if you're not up with the lore of what a auto hunter is, it's basically an older version of a powder keg. So is this the best build I have? No. Is this one of the stronger builds I have? No. Is it a fun build that I have that I enjoy using in invasions? Absolutely. You do not have to have the most meta build. You do not have to follow all the YouTube recommendations to make a build that you have fun with and can be successful with in invasions. Now, I mean, if you did make really strong builds using the best stuff you could see on YouTube, would you have more success? Sure, maybe. But also, would you be kind of, you know, utilizing weapons and things you're not really familiar with? That's also the case. And, you know, that would take time to get used to. Maybe you don't like those weapons as much, and maybe you don't have as much fun with them. So, you know, you could be having less fun and actually be less successful because you're using things you're not used to. The whole point of this is, you do not have to do that. You do not have to bend yourself out of your way to create builds just for invasions, to feel like you need to use those to be successful. You can be successful with your normal builds in invasions. Are there some things and some builds that may have to tweak themselves a little bit to be good enough to win against 3 people? Absolutely. I mean, you're not. Sometimes you just need to make some changes, but you don't need to fundamentally change the entire thing and character you've made to do this. You can have fun and utilize the weird thing that you've done and made in the campaign. It's fine. I used to really, when I was kind of towards the end of Dark Souls 3, would just make, you know, heinous, you know, just super meta builds because you're fighting in Gang City, which is the Panasolan area the entire time. And I've kind of gotten out of that. I've started to realize I just want to have fun, and if I can win with weird builds, but still have fun, that's really the desired effect. If I don't, that's fine. I will make another build, maybe stronger later. But right now, in this build that I'm using, I'm having a great time. I'm having decent success with it, and it's weird and fun. So I'm going to use it. Alright, time for a refresher on annoyance. Do y'all remember the lesson from the last video about annoyance and how to lure people away from grace areas to come out and play the level with you and have fun with you? You have 2 people sitting at a grace. They're waiting for a 3rd summon. They seem friendly enough, but you don't know how they are, how this invasion is going to go until they start playing the level with you. So you utilize and have items, tactics, spells, whatever, that can lure them through enough damage away from that grace into the level with you. They have to play the level, and you are the one that's blocking the level. Ideally, in this situation, they get a 3rd person, they feel a little bit more bold, and then they can play the level with you. With 3 people, even if there's enemies in a level, versus 1 invader, I don't care how good of an invader you are at a disadvantage, and they're at an advantage. And that's kind of how it's supposed to be. The ideal is that they have fun playing this level while having to deal with you and enemies, and you have fun trying to slow them down, maybe beat them. And if you don't beat them, it's still fine. It was a fun invasion. That is the whole goal. So now we're trying to annoy the host and the Phantom enough to come out of the grace area, and it's just going to take probably a third Phantom for them to do that. Okay, so now they've summoned a third Phantom in, and the chase is on. They feel encouraged enough to play the level, and that's fine. There's 3 people, so I'm going to use this elevator to try to separate them and lure 1 or 2 of them out at a time. Alright, that was a little roundabout, but that's 1 down. See, now I've used the level, their confidence, and enough space to separate the Phantoms from the host, kill the Phantoms, or at least 1 Phantom, and take out the host just by thinking about the level and utilizing some different parts of it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. There's be more to come.